All right, everyone, good morning.
Good morning.
I am Clarissa Rodriguez, Chair of the New York State Workers' Compensation Board. And before I call the 985th meeting of the board to order, I would like to take a minute to recognize the retirements of two people who have made tremendous contributions to the board. Former Chair Robert or Bob Beloten, who served as a chair for 7 years and as a workers' compensation law judge for 20 years, retired from the board on New Year's Eve. While Bob was chair, the board saw a number of changes and launched some major initiatives. These include the introduction of e-claims, the Business Relief Act of 2013, the creation and implementation of the board's first medical treatment guidelines, as well as the business process reengineering, the positive impact of which is still felt today in some ongoing projects. After serving as chair, Bob continued his work upholding the board's mission. He returned to his position as a law judge in Queens in 2016, where he once again presided over hearings until his retirement, and he will be missed by the board. Next, the medical director and senior policy advisor, Dr. Elaine Sobelberger, will also be retiring this month after 10 years on the board. Elaine is not only a physician, she is also an attorney. This combined experience and insight has been an amazing asset for the board, since so much of healthcare is tied to litigation. Elaine was brought to the board in 2010 to help implement the medical treatment guidelines. Since then, she has played an instrumental role in the implementation of other key legislative initiatives, including the impairment guidelines. Most recently, Elaine has been a major contributor and driver of the new expanded provider law, as well as New York's workers' compensation drug formulary and prior authorization process. We thank both Bob and Elaine for their dedicated service and wish them both the best in their retirements. You can applaud if you like. Okay, I now call the 985th meeting of the board to order. Madam Secretary, will you please call attendance?
Vice Chair Foster.
Here.
Board Member Petrocchi.
Here.
Board Member Higgins.
Here.
Board Member Logan.
Here.
Board Member Williams. Board Member Hall.
Here.
Board Member Osley.
Here.
Board Member Crane.
Here.
Board Member Stasko.
Here.
Board Member Tavares.
Here.
Board Member Caginelli. Here. Board Member Delani.
Here.
Chair, Board Member Williams is absent. We will have 12 voting members today.
Okay, may I have a motion to accept the absence of?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm also a yes, that motion is passed. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Agenda item 1, approval of the January 14th, 2020 meeting minutes. You have all received a copy of the July meeting minutes for review. Are there any questions or need for discussion? No? Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm also a yes, that motion is passed. Thank you. Agenda item 2, Office of General Counsel's Departmental Report. General Counsel David Wertheim will present the statistical and informational report for January.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. Good morning, Vice Chair, board members, and colleagues. Here is a report for January of 2020 with respect to the areas in which issues are resolved at the board. First, in terms of adjudication, there were 19,356 hearings held. 12,227 cases were resolved fully at the hearing, with 468 reserved decisions issued. Waiver agreements, 2,005 were approved, 1,643 through the hearing process, and 362 through desk process. In the Administrative Review Division, 1,136 applications were received, 964 applications for review were processed, leaving a pending inventory at end of month of 2,747. Full board review applications, 158 came in, 163 were processed, leaving an end of month inventory of 203. That concludes the statistical report. Of course, I would take any questions. Thanks.
Okay. Are there any questions or need for discussion?
Move to accept the report of General
Second.
Counsel.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I am also a yes, that motion is passed. Thank you, David. Agenda item 3, license applications. Elizabeth Lott of the Office of General Counsel will now present any licensing applications.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair. Good morning, board members, colleagues.
Morning.
You have before you the recommendations from the assigned board panel regarding the licensing applications listed in Part 3 of today's agenda. Section 24A, Robert King, 3-year renewal. Joel Frederickson, hold for the March meeting. Section 53-B, Crown Risk Management LLC, 3-year renewal. Triad LLC, 3-year renewal. Intercare of New York Insurance Services, Inc., 3-year renewal. Section 53-D, Alternative Service Concepts LLC, hold for the March meeting. And ESIS, Inc., 3-year renewal. I present these recommendations to the board for your consideration.
Okay, are there any questions or need for discussion? May I have a motion to accept the recommendations?
Motion to accept.
Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I am also a yes, that motion is passed. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Agenda item 4, legal appeals. General Counsel David Wertheim will now present the recommendations concerning decisions by the Appellate Division.
Thank you again, Chair. From the time of the last board meeting until now, there were 14 decisions by the Appellate Division 3rd Department with respect to workers' compensation claims. Of those 14 decisions, 11 were affirmances, 1 modification, and 2 reversals. It is the recommendation of Office of General Counsel that all of the decisions of the court be adopted as decisions of the board.
Okay, may I have a motion to accept the recommendation?
Motion.
Okay. Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I am also a yes, that motion is passed. Thank you. Agenda item 5, mandatory full board review. 5A, NYPD traffic agent, case number G1523591. Is there a motion with respect to 5A on the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would move that the majority opinion be adopted as the opinion of the full board.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any recusals in this matter? Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, seeing no opposition, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I am also a yes, that motion is passed. Thank you. 5B, Wegmans Food Markets, Inc., case number G2186060. Is there a motion in respect to 5B on the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move that the opinion of the majority be adopted as the opinion of the full board.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any recusals? Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, seeing no opposition, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I am also a yes, that motion is passed. 5C, North Shore Farms Comac LTD, case number G2331492. Is there a motion with respect to 5C on the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that the opinion of the majority be adopted as the opinion of the full board.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Are there any recusals? Is there any opposition to the motion?
Yes.
Okay, in light of the opposition, I call upon the secretary for a roll call vote.
Board Member Cajanelli.
No.
Board Member Hall.
No.
Board Member Paprocki.
Yes.
Board Member Ossoly.
Yes.
Board Member Taveras.
Yes.
Board Member Logan.
Yes.
Board Member Higgins.
Yes.
Board Member Stasko.
Yes.
Board Member Delon.
Yes.
Board Member Crane.
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster.
Yes.
Chairwoman Rodriguez.
Yes.
That motion is passed 10-2.
Okay, thank you. 5D, New York Black Car Operators, case number G2034024. Is there a motion with respect to 5D on the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that the opinion of the majority be adopted as the opinion of the full board.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Are there any recusals? Is there any opposition to the motion?
Yes.
Okay. In light of the opposition, I call upon the secretary for a roll call vote.
Board Member Paprocki.
Yes.
Board Member Logan.
Yes.
Board Member Caginelli.
No. Yes.
Board Member Higgins.
Yes.
Board Member Stasko.
Yes.
Board Member Hall.
No.
Board Member Delon.
Yes.
Board Member Tavares.
Yes.
Board Member Crane.
Yes.
Board Member Osling.
No.
Vice Chair Foster.
Yes.
Chairwoman.
Yes.
That motion is carried 10-2.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 6, discretionary full board review. I now turn this portion of the agenda over to Vice Chair Foster.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the cases listed in item 6 of your agenda, it has been recommended that full board review be granted. Those cases are 6A, Johnson Home Care, and 6B, Harry's Design, Inc. I move to refer the cases back to the respective panels for further consideration.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Okay. Are there any recusals? Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, seeing no opposition, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm also a yes, that motion is passed, thank you. Agenda item 7, other business? Okay, hearing no other business. Agenda item 8, our guest speaker today. I'd like to welcome a guest from the board, Tim Purcell, who is here to update us on a major initiative underway, the Business Information System, or BIS Project. Through the BIS project, the board is replacing our multiple legacy paper-based claims systems with a single, easy-to-use, web-based platform. Tim is the program director for the board's enterprise-wide business process reengineering and systems modernization program. The BPR process is focused on leveraging innovative digital government solutions to enable true business transformation, both within the board and across our expansive external stakeholder community. As part of his BIS work, Tim has been overseeing the board's award-winning virtual hearings implementation, which recently hit a new milestone with the launch of an Android version of the Virtual Hearings mobile app. Prior to directing the board's BPR project, Tim architected and directed the board's eClaims EDI initiative, as well as the board's insurance compliance system implementation. Please join me in welcoming Tim.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks to the chair, vice chair, board members for allowing us to speak today. Although it's me up here, there's a big team behind me that's actually pushing this project forward, so we appreciate the ability to come in here and brief everyone on this really critical project for the board. We'll start with some context in terms of how we got to where we are today. Most of you are probably aware that back in around 2013, the board began a BPR initiative where we conducted a number of outreach events working with our external stakeholders, our internal folks, really to understand how to transform the way the system works. Through that, the BPR outreach efforts really yielded a series of initiatives, including virtual hearings, updated medical fee schedules, performance standards to improve payer compliance, and improvements to the disputed resolution process. The final piece to this very large puzzle is what I'm here to talk about today, and that's the BIS project, otherwise known as the Business Information System. The project began really with the selection of Captech as our system implementation vendor. Captech arrived on site mid-2019, and the project officially kicked off. A lot of momentum building now, obviously. Here we are in 2020 in February. A lot of requirements have been gathered, and things are moving forward very nicely. This project, by far, is the largest undertaking the board is ever taking at one time to build a brand-new system. It really represents the board's continued commitment to developing world-class digital government solutions, as the chair alluded to previously. The new system will leverage a proven state-of-the-art web-based framework, as opposed to the client-server legacy framework we have today. And expanding upon our eClaims initiative, the project will really embrace collecting data as opposed to processing things with paper forms. That's going to allow not only the board, but external partners to truly leverage new transformational process improvements. So we'll talk a little bit about our current state. As we all know, the systems we have today are long overdue for an update. CIS, I think, right now today is 20 years old. eCase is about 15 years old. They no longer adequately address the changing functional and information needs of the board, nor our stakeholders. The system integration across our multiple computer systems is inadequate, and that's due to the fact that our systems are very siloed. Our current web-based systems, such as eCase, it's extremely limited, and it really doesn't support the full needs of the stakeholders that use it. The other thing that is, a big dependency that we have today and a limitation is that many of our stakeholders, especially injured workers, really need to be familiar with the forms and the rules and the laws of the workers' comp system. We want to make that easier. We want to make folks like the injured workers coming into an intuitive website where they can really come in, submit what they need to submit, retrieve what they need to retrieve, and find out what's the status of their case. So we'll talk about some outcomes. We're really focused on an intuitive, friendly system, paperless. There'll be some exceptions to paperless. Obviously, the injured worker will have the ability to still submit paper if they're not having technology available to them. We really want to focus on increasing overall claims processing efficiencies. The new system will be really leveraging what we would call increased transparency in terms of leveraging data. Visualization of that data will be available to all stakeholders, not just limited parties of interest today. Many of our external stakeholders today, for the first time, will have direct web-based access to claim information they've never had before. The new system is going to offer exciting new elements, including new intuitive user-friendly features for interacting with the board. For example, parties of interest on a case can opt in to receive immediate electronic notifications when new information is uploaded to a case. The use, as I said earlier, the use of paper forms will be replaced with electronic EForms, which will be based on Wizard, TurboTax-like question and answer type forms as opposed to what we have today. We refer to these as EForms, as I just said, and EForms and other ways of collecting electronic data, such as eClaims, will allow us really to validate and bring only into our system clean data, as opposed today with the scanned images that we get from our scanning vendor. That problem will be decreased significantly. So let's walk through some of the features and benefits within our stakeholder groups. So for injured workers, attorneys, employers, payers, medical providers, the big thing that will stand out to folks is that the 24/7 access to the system. Today, with eCase, there's limited hours. For CIS, for our internal folks, there's limited hours. That will all change with the new system. For injured workers, they're going to have the ability to do everything online. Now, whether they choose to do that or not is up to them. They can still submit paper. They'd have the ability really to log in, create a case online, come back in to verify the receipt of documentation has been received, and really follow that case all the way throughout. Attorneys and licensed reps, we're really looking to save time, and by replacing eCase with a new web-based system, as I spoke earlier, with greater features and greater access. Complete access to the case file will continue, as they have today with eCase, but with better features. With the ability to electronically submit RFAs with real-time data validation and placement into the case file. Other parties, like I said earlier, can opt in and see electronic notifications. Those notifications will be sent via email and or text. For employers, again, the focus is really on saving time and money, using the updated system to access real-time claim status. Employers, similar to injured workers, can understand where the claim is and what process it's in. They'll be able to see what eForms have been submitted, what eClaims data has come in. So again, complete access to the case file. The days of having to complete a paper form, faxing it to see if it was accepted, those days will be over. The eForms will be available online and will be submitted in real time. What real time means is that upon submittal, it'll be immediately validated. If any errors were detected, they'll be presented back to the user who was submitting it with the opportunity to fix it right away. Healthcare providers. Healthcare providers, as opposed to what eCase offers today, will have the ability now for healthcare providers to come in and have access to the case file where appropriate, based upon rules, based upon statutes, and their permissions and their roles. Again, today, eCase does not allow that. For payers, the focus is really going to be on more efficient transactions. With the new paperless approach, we can get, again, data coming into us as opposed to those scanned images. Processing time will be reduced by having data directly in the system rather than manually referring to paper documents. And related to the eClaims platform update that we're doing right now to go to eClaims 3.1, we'll have greater, higher data accuracy, leading to more accurate resolutions. So again, more challenges that we have today in our current system. Here's some examples of scanned forms that we get in today. This will be a major focus of eliminating this, or at least significantly reducing it. Of course, we can still get paper coming in from injured workers. But many of our systems today, because of this, and even some of our PDFs that we allow today electronically, they don't allow us to capture any data, and they don't allow us nor our stakeholders the ability to drive workflow in an automated way. So everything, there's a lot of touching, there's a lot of hands-on, and the new system is really going to be emphasizing data and straight-through processing where we can and where our stakeholders can. As I spoke to earlier, the new system will also leverage the wizard-based electronic submissions of EForms, which will be completely integrated into the system. So today we have pockets of electronic PDFs that folks can use, but they come into us separate from eCase, separate from CIS, with no data validation up front. Here's an example of, again, an illustration. Our vendor is just getting started, so we're not there yet in terms of being able to demo anything today. But this is an example of an eForm. Basically, as you can see, it'll step you through. Information is entered into required fields. Attachments or uploads can come in with that form as evidence. Immediate validation, as I spoke to earlier. And based upon the submittal, we can send that through the system immediately. It'll end up in the case folder immediately. So you submitted at 10 a.m. today, it's in there at 10:02 a.m. for all the parties to see. Any parties that had opted in for electronic notifications of that would get an immediate text or an immediate email saying a new file has come into the case folder. So for our larger volume type submittals, and this is especially going to be handy for payers, many of those payers today have computer systems that generate our forms. And they generate them in bulk, and they send them to us in bulk. And they do that because they don't want to have manual data entry of those forms in their workflows. So our answer to that in the new system is basically what we're calling an API. An API is an application programming interface that allows computer-to-computer talking. So one computer system speaking to another computer system. So basically, the payer computer systems that today are generating our computer forms in bulk, instead of generating those computer forms, are going to call through a computer-to-computer communication that API to send that data to us. And the beauty of this design is that when we get that call from the payer, again, we can immediately validate the data, and we can immediately return back to the payer if there were any errors, what those error reasons were, and then they can fix that and send it to us again via the API. So this is really going to allow payers to introduce, again, some automation, some efficiencies in their systems that today they don't have because everything is paper-based. So we'll talk a little bit about how we're approaching the project. Right now, we're really going through identifying all the detail requirements. We had put requirements in our procurement. They were at a fairly high level, and now our partner is working closely with us to really review all those requirements and to develop a system that's going to meet both our internal and our external needs. We break down the requirements into what we're calling bite-sized chunks or user stories. It allows us to really focus on specific functionality to develop and then test through a series of iterative development cycles. On the right-hand side of this slide, you see the arrows going around, and the key takeaway here is the word iteration. The systems that we've built here in the past have been built in what we call a waterfall approach, where you take months and months and months of requirements gathering, months and months of design, months and months of testing, and if something goes wrong, 10, 12 months into it, you're really, really in trouble. The approach that we're taking is an iterative approach, and it really allows for transparency where we can share news early and we can share news throughout the entire project, both internally and externally with our stakeholders. We're going to be consistent with transparent two-way communication as we've started from the beginning of this project. We've already conducted a series of webinars, and so far I think the feedback's been fairly positive. We're going to be offering still a number of opportunities to be engaged in the project through surveys, focus groups, again, the webinars that we have done and will continue to do. As we get further into the project, we'll be engaging stakeholders for testing and then training. BIS is a multi-year project. This is a significant endeavor. Right now, the current project plan is targeting a late 2022 implementation. We are, however, looking for opportunities where we can implement some new system improvements earlier than that if possible. As I said earlier, it's a very, very large project. Getting involved, staying informed. We do, off the board's homepage now, have a button over to the right-hand side for the BIS project. If you click on that, we have a dedicated web page where folks can come, learn about the project, stay engaged. You can also send emails to our BPR mailbox at WCB or BPR at wcb.ny.gov, and we'll be continuing to post updates to that project website and stay engaged with our stakeholders. I really appreciate the time. I know this was brief. Feel free to reach out to myself through this email box and be glad to provide more details.
Okay, thank you so much, Sam. Exciting stuff, right? Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm also a yes. Thank you, meeting adjourned. All right, take care, everyone.